Hi guys! One of the most asked questions I get is around how to protect your mulberry bags, how to protect the leather, how to prevent it getting stained, be it from water, or maybe even give it some protection should you spill something on it so you can clear it up better. Now, I've done a post previously on mulberry oak, and I showed how to apply the colonial and talked a little bit generally about the characteristics of the leather. And I thought we'll go a little bit deeper into that, and I'll also show you how to deal with a very specific type of leather, which makes the application and the buffing off a little bit more complicated. I mean, we're only talking about polishing leather, so it's not rocket science. But if you're talking expensive handbag, then you want to make sure you protect your investment, really, I guess. So I'm just going to show you quickly which ones I have at the moment. Hope the light is okay. We have got, let's start with the biggest, mulberry Bayswater. Still smells gorgeous, which is in the NVT oak, in the printed NVT oak. So you can see we've got these irregular sort of scales. Some people call it croc or croco. The older version of this, I guess, is the Congo, and I've got a small vintage bag here of Congo, so you can see that as well. But so this is NVT printed oak. In this Bayswater, it's unlined, so you've got the suede on the inside and literally this printed leather on the outside. There we go, that's the one. Then I've got the Mulberry, again, NVT oak. This one isn't as shiny as that one. I'm not sure whether it's a completely different leather or whether it's just because from a different hide or because this one has been used far less than this one. Now, this one isn't suede lined. It's actually, the flap is lined with normal oak, and the inside here is lined with the tree fabric. Then, let's just leave that open. Then I've got the cutest little, look at that, there's a mini Kelly, and this is black printed, and I think it's called Nile, which is not just the printed like a croc, it has these little sort of dimples in it, and I understand that this is called Nile. I've had it in teak before, which is the darker sort of coffee brownish shade, and this is black. And then I've got a vintage little satchel, and that is what would be referred to as Congo. So actually it has the sort of Nile dimples as well in there, but I believe that this is Congo leather. It goes really, it just gets such a nice patina and gets really glossy with use. It's absolutely beautiful, and I think this is, whether you like the shape of the bag or not, but this was a really good time for Mulberry in terms of quality and longevity, because this is, I don't know, 80s I think, so quite a few years old, and by a couple of loose stitches. Still a lovely little bag. Anyway, so I show you first of all generally what I use, and then we'll just apply something. For applying a product, I usually use a soft jersey cotton, and this is literally from a t-shirt I bought in a charity shop and chopped up, because I just went in and just found a nice soft t-shirt, and I can just chuck it in the washing machine when I wash towels or anything like that. Because I don't know that the stuff, the colonial, does smell, so I maybe wouldn't put it on with my little one's clothes or anything like that, even though I'm sure it's absolutely fine. But I tend to put it in when I wash like older towels that I use for cleaning and all of that kind of stuff. But I've got a few of these, so you know, when I feel that they get a bit dirty, or when they're too damp or whatever, then I will just chuck them in the wash. I also have here a soft cloth, which is very similar to the sort of duster cloths, and that came with a set of shoe brushes, very nice and soft. Then I've got the actual product itself. So we've got the Colonial leather gel. You can get it in the little tubs. I think it's actually available on the Mulberry web shop, and you can usually walk in the stores and buy it there as well. But it costs about, I think, £7 or £8 for a little tub of like, it's 100 milliliter or something, and this one is 230 milliliters and costs £10 or something like that. I think £12 max on eBay. I got this, and it just keeps a lot longer, obviously, and it's a nice little pump, which is practical. The other product after I've applied this is the Colonel Water Stop, and that just sort of seals everything in and seals the bag from the outside. Very important to do this at the end. If you're sealing the bag and then trying to clean or nourish is obviously a little bit pointless. This is what you do at the end. Essentially, when you've got a little picture here where you see water sort of, how do you would call it, forming little droplets, because it pearls off. Everything that hits your bag after that theoretically should pearl off. I'm not quite sure about red wine or whatever, and I'm not going to test that here, but this will protect the leather and prevent anything sort of from penetrating. The other two things I have are, this is a standard suede brush, which has different sides to it. So we've got sort of like a rubber brush. It's very soft and movable bristles, rubber bristles. We've got the sort of, my language is completely going, serrated, kind of almost like a blade, where you can go sort of in the edges or scrape if you need to. Then we've got a little brush, which is just one row of bristles, and then you've got a brush, which hurts if you're not careful. It's a metal bristle. I don't know whether this is copper or something like that. Could be brass, I don't know. It looks less coppery, it looks more brass, the colour, but it's a metal brush, so it can be quite abrasive. And this is not specifically to handbags. It's actually from Colonel. This is just a suede brush, which you will find probably in shoe stores. I think I might have ordered it off Amazon or eBay or something like that. And then I've got a shoe brush, but it's very soft bristles, and that's really one of the specific things I use for the printed leather, and I'll show you why, or you might have already figured out. So let's do this. So let's take the little Mulberry, because she needs nourishing the most, probably, because she gets carried around the most. Open up this and put out a generous, just one pump will give you about much. Open this up, and then I'm just gonna apply this sort of across here, almost like I would apply facial cream. So I put a big dollop on my finger, and then I put a bit here, kind of thing, and then I start to sort of rub it in. But obviously, as you can see now, it sits in these gaps in the printed leather, which isn't really that big a deal. And what I would do now is, if it was a normal leather bag, I do this all the way around. So I just leave that, turn it around, do it on the bottom and everywhere. Don't wear a pair of jeans or or dress or whatever that you can't pop in the washing machine, because the stuff smells. I mean, it smells quite nice, but you still don't want it really on clothes where you can't wash it off, because you're gonna put it on the side and so it lies on your clothes. So just bear that in mind, or maybe you want to put it on the floor or whatever. So you do that all the way around, and then if it was normal leather, I just go and do, you can see that here, I just go and do this. I sort of polish it in, which is fine. But on the printed leather, I will be doing this, and you can see I can't get it all. So even if I try now, I can get some more if I sort of push in, or I could probably bend the leather a bit and work my way in there, get some of it, but I can't get all of it, and frankly it's a bit annoying. So up until recently, what I was doing is I was just using this brush, the really fine one, and I was just going in through the gaps here, like that, doing that, and then kind of doing the same on the gaps in between here, like that. And as I was doing that, I sort of brought it out of the gaps, accumulated the leftover bits on here, brush it off here, and then go over there. Now, what I do now, what I've started doing, is I remembered normal shoe brushes, and I remember having very expensive shoes, expensive leather, where you always had nooks and crannies to get into, and I thought, why not do that on the handbags? It's kind of the same. Okay, I might duck and cover from people who don't agree with me, but essentially that's what I'm doing. I'm taking the very soft brush and I'm just going over it like that. Obviously you don't want to be knocking your hardware too much, but you will see that not only will you be able to get into the corners really nicely, it also reminds me of when my dad used to make us brush our shoes, especially around Nikolaus. You have to clean your boots and put them outside in Germany, and then Saint Nikolaus will come on the 6th of December, on the night to the 6th of December, and put some sweets in your boots, but only if they're nicely brushed and all shiny. You get that shine usually if you do that. So now this bag isn't really one that will always shine ever shine very much. Maybe this one will be. It's more glossy. But there you can see I've just managed to brush out all of the product, and there isn't really any product left in here. So where I'm saying I brushed it out, I really more sort of brushed it into the leather. There's absolutely nothing else it does to the leather. It doesn't scratch the leather. It doesn't do any damage to the leather, because as I said, this is no different really from a very high quality leather you would have on a shoe. And I mean, if you know really good shoes, expensive shoes, or even made to measure shoes or whatever, they get brushed and cleaned with this just as much. So this is kind of my tip. Do this on your handbags as well. Apply with caution if you think it might scratch. Obviously you don't want to do this on a leather that's high shine or whatever, but something like the NVT printed leathers, this is perfect. You get it into the gaps, you get out all of these little bits of residue that otherwise you wouldn't be able to buff out just with a cloth. So there. And then again, when we're finished, and I think I explained it last time, you take your Colonel water stop, you shake it really well. I'm just going to do one burst of this because we're inside and I don't want this to be too bad. You hold it about that far and you just apply it like that. There we go. I typically do it like this, on top, underneath, and then usually when that's dry, I hold the whole bag upside down and do the handles as well, because they get obviously handled the most and get dark the easiest. So there you go. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to show you. I really just wanted to explain that little trick with a brush to get into the gaps of the printed leather. I hope you found this useful. I know I've been rambling on again, but let me know what you think, and bye bye.